Thank you. This is a song about a guy that we met a number of years ago in Chicago, and he was documenting the free jazz scene there and recording and taking photographs. And he had a small record label. He was also a war protester. He was a guy in his 50s. And we heard some years after meeting him that he had taken a very drastic action, and in protest of the war he had killed himself by lighting himself on fire outside on the freeway in Chicago. And he had tried to make a document of his action and have his friends come and get the tape and all this sort of convoluted activity in order to get it in front of the public, utilizing the media. But his family evidently got a hold of the tape and understandably didn't want it to take that course, so his actual protest was very much diluted. And so we were talking about the situation. I wrote a song about him, and I realized sometime later, as you sometimes do when you write a song, you learn maybe what it was about on down the road a little bit. And so it felt like this was a document about his making of a document. And it's one of the things, well, it's sort of a strange subject, and we don't obviously condone suicide, and we are working in front of high school students and other sorts of groups on this tour doing our lecture, How Art and Music Can Change the World. But my intention of outlining the story of the song and our kind of furthering his message with a song is sort of an illustration of how music can propel ideas about actions that might not have been heard about. And in fact, David has a poster series that's a focal point of our spoken program called Inspired Agitators, and it highlights the activities and life and goals of some people that he has found very inspiring throughout history. So that's kind of been a course of our action, is to try to put the ideas in front of people that have maybe been left aside in some way in history. So this is called Malachi. And the camera goes click as you press record, and you hand the document to the jazz musician. After they perform, and you talk and you listen, and you protest this war, and there is pain, and it instigates change, and there is frustration that your voice is not heard when you protest this war with a sign above your head in words. And the camera goes click as you press record, and the can of gasoline is there on the ground for this final document, your protest against this war. Some of us heard, and some of us understood your final word. And the camera goes click as you press record. You're like the match that ends your life in this final statement your protest against this war. And some of us understood, you know the history well. And some of us heard your final word. Thank you.
So you're from Seattle, right?
Vancouver.
Oh, I'm sorry, Vancouver. I hear it's nice up there.
Well, it rains a lot, but it is
Chill people.
pretty nice. Pardon me?
Chill people.
Yeah, there's a variety. It's a big enough city that you get all types, pretty much. You been up there?
No, my brother lived there for a little bit. He said he saw a bank robbery in daylight once.
Oh, yeah.
It was really kind of interesting.
He should have moved on away from
No,
that
but
scene.
he was there. He's like, yeah, this is a really cool place. We moved back to Maine, where Maine's. I'm really grateful for this message.
Well, you're most welcome. I appreciate people being here. I went out with a guy in March, for the month of March. He was working on a writing project to bring together world philosophies. He'd been told he can write, he can really write, by people who know such things, they know such things, they know such things. I was telling him a story about our car dying at the border on the way to open for Fugazi in Seattle. It's a good story, I tell it well, it says a lot about me. I'd only gotten about this far, and he hijacked my story. Started telling me a story about a time when he was at a border between Mexico and the USA, and a customs guy turned over his guitar and a peyote button fell out and it rolled under something and wasn't found. I listened to his story and felt less like telling my story. As intimacy grew, I told him that I wanted to tell my stories of my life, of my experiences. I asked that I just be allowed to tell my story without him reprocessing it and referring to something in his experience. And he stuck out his chin, big guy, 6'4", and he told me I was trying to change him, that this is who he is, this is how he is, this is who he is, and I'm trying to change him. And I started to cry, and I hated that I was crying. started doing this comforting thing. This comforting thing, this comforting thing, this comforting thing. He seemed really familiar with this part, this comforting thing. And I started to wonder if he wanted me to cry. If he wanted me to cry so that he could do this comforting thing, this comforting thing. Anyway, odd guy. Odd guy. Something seemed to surface in my mind, my mind, my mind, my